All right, I am guessing that I'm live. I am live, it's confirmed. Hello everyone, hope you have a good Thursday so far. And it's good to be back with some more Retrothon goodies for you. And yeah, I have two Genesis games I'll be running back to back right now. So the first one is a licensed game, the second one will be an unlicensed game, but more about that later. First off, we're gonna be playing this game called Trampoline Terror, which, well, like I said, it's licensed. There's a chance you may have heard of it, maybe you haven't, but regardless, it's a game that I've been kind of running on and off for years, with large gaps in between, and this is actually the first time I'm doing it for a marathon, so that's a debut of sorts. So I'm yeah, excited to show this off for y'all, and it's gonna be some good times with trampolines. It's a good combo, I think. So yeah, as the category suggests, we'll be playing on normal mode. Gonna give myself just a max amount of credits. I may not need all of them. We'll see how it goes. At least the estimate should be generous enough. And yeah, you also have easy and normal, but normal is just fine, really. So yeah, let's just go into the game. Time starts as soon as I select a game, and that's gonna be 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, this is what they call an overhead view action game. As you can see here, it's a top-down view, and the main objective is to hit all the switches in these levels in order to make progress. So you have to sort of detonate them, and then they self-destruct after a little bit. And I think this pretty much sets the tone for the rest, really. So there's 33 stages in total, 32 regular ones, and then a little bit of a twist at the end. More on that later. So yeah, I guess there's a little bit of speed tech here in that I'm trying to hit these switches from the corner, basically. The first moment that I can, I'm basically trying to run off of them. So I save a little bit of time here and there. That does gradually add up. And supposedly, yeah, so I was gonna mention some stuff about the story, but first, there's also some combinations that you can do which are really cool. So this is a series of blue switches that I'm pressing, and that actually makes me skip the entire level. So that's gonna be one of 2 stages I'll be skipping that way. It's not more, sadly, but it's a cool thing regardless. There's a couple more combinations that you will see throughout the game, and yeah, I love the speed tech. Also involves finding the most ideal routes through these levels. So getting the switches, you know, in a certain specific pattern or order, if you like. Yeah, these stages are actually relatively short in terms of size. Like, they tend to loop around pretty rapidly, although that may not be directly apparent, but these levels at most exist on a grid of 16 by 16 tiles, which is not a lot, but they're pretty good at suggesting that these levels seem to be bigger, but you will notice eventually that it's kind of looping around. And so these trampolines, they all have varying colors. That's kind of corresponding with the amount of times that you can jump on them. So every single time you land on them from a jump, they start changing colors. So they first turn, hold on, let me say this correctly. First, they're, at best they're green, then turn blue, then turn yellow, then turn red. And as soon as you jump on them again, that's when they start breaking. So you have to watch out for that. There's a couple of places where you definitely don't have as much opportunity to jump on them repeatedly. I mean, trampoline jumping is fun, but you know, it's not always possible. That was a bit of a tricky one. I actually tried to cut that corner there. Sometimes you still have these enemy patterns play out. For the most part, it's not super RNG as I would see it. There's a couple of places where it's a bit more random, especially as soon as you get past the halfway point of the game, but A lot of these patterns are actually kind of fixed. It kind of depends on your movement too, like how you move around and stuff, and that also makes enemies spawn in certain places, which will be a thing later on too. Also, thanks for the good luck from Bray. And now we have a level with bunnies. If I'm not mistaken, this is the only level that actually has bunnies. So if you like bunnies, then this is your level. Oh, oops. I was doing all these diagonal jumps. Especially if you play this casually, you may find that at some point there are some levels that definitely take some time to get through. But it's a fun one to try and optimize. It's there's some fun to be had with that one. Okay, I'm gonna take that one a little bit slower. I could technically jump over that one if I'm getting there quickly enough, but I just barely missed that, so... Yeah, as it turns out, Wabbit season is indeed very short. But at least we get a change of music, so that's a few gems. Every 4 levels the music changes, and that's pretty cool, I think. And music is really nice. I would say the general vibe of this game I always find to be very cozy, so... As such, I've always enjoyed going back to this game. Like, I was mentioning, I've been kind of running it on and off. So I first ran this very early in 2018, and I only ran it for like 1 stream or so. I think I only finished like 1 run, and it was like, I think barely sub 40 or something, so it had a lot of deaths, so it could obviously be improved, and at some point it was like, well, I want to go back to this, and so it was not until another 3 years that I actually ended up going back to it and got a sub 30. And then recently, after learning that I got accepted for Retrothon, I decided to finally go back to it and you know, bring the time down some more, and now my PB is sub 23, and it's like 1 second away from world record, which by the way is a really tight time in a run, so I actually ended up relearning the run using the world record, because those routes really got optimized there, and it kind of inspired me to just relearn and spice things up a little bit more for myself. Like this level, you have these bullet bills, as I call them. They can be a thing, but using that P-ball there, as they call them, or this bomb, whatever, this thing I'm throwing, by using that you can actually make it a little bit easier for yourself. Yeah, it keeps it from gaming still, that's always nice. Like, they don't have it for every single level, but it doesn't have to be, you know? It doesn't have to be. And also, yeah, I just love the color scheme as well. It's very... I think that's one of the best indicators for me personally that this is a Sega game. Like, the color scheme... it could have almost worked as a Master System game as well, although it still very much looks like a Genesis game, I would say. Oh dear. Oh yeah, level 13. Oh, this is where we're getting introduced to whiz ropes. Those are fun. Yeah, I told you about randomness in this game. There's not a lot of it, but those whiz ropes, they deliver all of the randomness that you would ever... Well, I was gonna say ask for. I'm not really asking for it. It just happens. But yeah, we bouncing. Yep, we're certainly bouncing. And true to its word, most of these levels actually do have trampolines, so, you know, it is on point. And it also justifies what's supposedly our name, Trampoline Terror. So this level I'm basically going clockwise, hitting all these switches. There's these teleporters. It tends to take a little bit before you travel from one place to the other, but at least there's only so many teleporters, so, you know, still pretty short. Yeah, you'll see. I mean it's pretty long, but like I said, at least there's not that many yet. And I'm kind of already sort of hinting at stuff that will happen. Let's see, this is where I'm gonna deliberately jump this way. I'm gonna save that blue switch for later, because I'm gonna hit this one first, and then I'm gonna land here and then finish up the rest. Only have to wait here for a little bit, but seems good. Sometimes those those UFO-esque thingies, they kind of feel random as well. But they're not always that annoying, thankfully. Not compared to those whisk ropes. Those are annoying as heck. Let's see. I need to go down here, I think. Yep, there we go. This is one of those levels that I do tend to kind of get mixed up in, trying to find the right route. Also kind of depends on what spawns in front of me, because I've had it happen that I would get to these last few green switches and suddenly 3 whisk ropes would spawn next to each other, and it would be like one of those cases where you would have no idea what to do, really. That has actually happened, I'm pretty sure, recently too. See, this one. So yeah, those bullet bills, they always move in a specific pattern. A certain amount of tiles, kind of depending on where you're positioned, because it really tends to follow you around. So if I tend to go to the right, bullet bill will go to the right, etc, etc. But yeah, so far it's been going pretty well in that sense. Okay, level 17, time for new music. We're officially past the halfway point in terms of levels, pretty much. Very soon, so the levels so far have been pretty okay. I would say starting with level 20, that's where it really starts to ramp up a lot more, so I have to watch out for that. Also, that was pretty close. I nearly fell there. If I don't mess up any time with the movement there in that level, I can make it over to that yellow platform like without too much issue, because those yellow platforms, they appear and then disappear after a couple of seconds and then reappear and so on, so you have to kind of work around that. Oh yeah, speaking of teleports, yeah. I was hinting at some sort of teleport stuff. This is a level with all the teleports. There's only 4 switches to hit, and you have like that many more teleports to go through. So this is actually a really long stage, even though you don't really wind up doing as much. So it's a bit of an interesting, quote-unquote, balance. You actually wind up going through most of these teleports, because they basically constructed that there's only one teleport that you don't have to hit, because it kind of loops back just in case you're missing something. So in that sense, the route is pretty straightforward. Also, the nice thing is you do get a brief iframe window coming out of this teleport, so that is occasionally helpful with some of these sections. Okay, and that was the only one that I'm skipping. As you would have guessed, if I would have died on this level, that would have been really annoying, because there would have been a massive time loss. Like, I'm pretty sure you can lose at least a minute if you're dying very close to the end, so I'm just glad that I made it through there. Otherwise, it's not too complicated of a level, I would say. Let's see. Gonna work around. Oh my god, it's crowded here. Okay, well, I guess I'm waiting then. There's only so much I can do with all the Swiss ropes. They knew how to spawn in exactly the right location, didn't they? Okay, this one. It's nice that you can still, to some extent, jump over some of these enemies, because otherwise it would have been way tougher to go fast in these levels. Okay, this is where I'm gonna briefly kind of run into this until it reappears again. I'm already kind of starting to take a little bit of a preview there of sorts by jumping somewhat early, kind of expecting that platform to appear like right away. so that way you can make it even faster. And in this case we end up in the middle, these 4 yellow switches, and there we go. So if you like parallax scrolling, then this one especially goes very wild, so enjoy. So this is actually where I do a little bit of movement manip right there by moving a little bit to the bottom so that I can get past the bullet bill. Because if I go further up, I will actually have that bullet bill spawn earlier or in a different spot, and it would be something I would have to pause for before I can move on. But this is basically the pattern that you want to have. So just a tiny bit of movement adjustment very neatly sets up for that, really. So this is where I'm gonna go over here. There's actually another way of going through this level, which would involve a pretty tight jump over one of the switches. Where you basically jump from one corner to another, and that way you can actually prevent the switch from being detonated like right away. So you would do that on return. But yeah, doing this route, you can just hug the corner there and then kind of go through the level in a more, well, sort of regular fashion, I guess. You always wind up finishing with these because you cannot actually jump back from those since, you know, there's no trampoline around. Okay, now for level 23, I'm gonna try strat here. I'm still pretty good on pace, but this, if this works, that would be so cool. It works. That's actually a really tight cycle there. I was like, should I go for it? But I'm very glad that I went for it. No, actually, it was too late there. Oh no. Well, at least I was able to show that off. I'm glad about that. But yeah, typically if I don't opt for that, I'm typically going this route. So I'm like going over here. Although I just missed a switch, so that's something I have to go back for now. But yeah, in this case we wound up taking the teleport here. Yeah, if only I didn't mess it up, that would have been so good, but yeah. It's a really tough strat because you have to make sure that you waste absolutely no time trying to run over that yellow platform there. So, because it's about to disappear as you get there, so there's a very small window, if anything. Okay, this is where we're gonna get blue switches. But instead we're gonna get 3, because that's the maximum amount that we have here, and that will make us invincible for a brief moment. And it's actually long enough for this entire level, so I'll be able to do the vast majority of this level, and I don't have to worry about these bullet bills whatsoever. As long as I don't fall into a gap, I should be fine. So there's a couple of combinations like that. So we had the 4 blue switches, which would skip levels. There's one that's still coming up later. But yeah, getting 3 blue ones already makes you invincible, so that's already pretty nice. This level is also, well, I was gonna say nice. It's not the nicest. It's definitely one of the trollier stages, I would say. Also, if you want to go fast, it's on those levels where stuff is on a pretty tight cycle, and you occasionally have to deal with very random wish ropes, and that's always fun. This is really a level where I'm starting to utilize these side jumps, just to make sure that I can get to certain sections a little bit faster. But there we go. That's a route I wanted to take. Just messed up a little bit in the beginning. But not for too long, at least. Alright. I guess the only thing that's notable, I would say, is the fact that I'm briefly pausing there to have those bullet bills pass each other, so I can kind of jump over that one. Because they always start moving after a certain amount of time, so you can kind of sort of calculate it in. and then there's a brief moment where initially I found it tough to kind of navigate because I'm always looking for the next switch, and at some point you don't see new switches, and then you have to realize that you are going up instead, and you'll find the next switch there. So it might be one of the tougher levels in my opinion in that sense, in that the routing is a bit... it's not as obvious. Oh, oops. These orbs are not to be messed with. Oh yeah, so this level actually uses a certain gimmick that you may otherwise run into, but it's actually a necessity here, since I have to hit three red switches in a row in order to fix up the middle trampolines that actually lead to the final trampoline. So this is actually a requirement. Or, no, sorry, so the red switches, sorry, I said it incorrectly. The red switches actually stun the enemies, which is nice, but I need the 4 green switches in the end to fix up the trampolines. So I have to make sure to that I'm gonna jump over this one for now, so I can get to the last one. And voila, there's the 4 middle ones right there fixed. So now I can just continue on. Because you cannot jump far enough to get over there like right away. You actually need those trampolines to be fixed. And now stage 28. And I might hear you think, wow, 26 switches, that's a lot. You know, you're right, that is a lot of switches. So, what do you say we skip all of those? How's that sound? I mean, 0 sounds better than 20-something, right? And on that note, we're in space! So this introduces the last few stages before the boss. So these are space themed, as you can see, and starts off with this level with, oops, all red trampolines. So you have to be careful where, how you're gonna jump on them. No skipping! Well, it's a feature of the game. It's an official feature of the game. That's all I can say. So this level is, I would say, pretty linear because you follow a very similar course, I guess. It's always the same. It's also a feature, I'm telling you. This is where I have to watch out for that. I call them blobs. I don't know. They're round. They're kind of moving in a circle. There you go. Don't have to worry about that one. You just have to hold left, and that's all you have to do. And then finish it up this way, and there we go. So yeah, 31 is to a degree similar, but we're gonna be skipping a few corners here and there. Not by too much, but there's some stuff that you can do. So we're gonna wait for this bullet bill to move here, then we're gonna do some diagonals, which is actually really nice, because if you move about in any other way, you tend to have a lot more... you tend to have to deal a lot more with that bullet bill. And doing the diagonal actually makes that a lot easier. It's only after some time that I realized that. Okay, finishing with a 1-up. And that's time for the last regular stage. So it can be pretty short if I don't actually screw up my movement. So you jump around some, mostly diagonal, then you go here, to this, and go towards the middle. And you fix up some trampolines. The thing is, if you slightly move to the left there at some point, you do actually make that bullet bill spawn in a certain point where if you would follow that pattern, you would actually run to the bullet bill. So that's a thing I've been trying to prevent. I actually got it in my PB recently. Oh yeah, anyway, so now there's a boss fight. All of a sudden. Oh, oops. And I kind of screwed up there. Let's see if I can still do this. I might want to take a death here. I'm just gonna let's do that, because there's a certain pattern that I can follow which makes this surprisingly easy to do. So it starts off with throwing these two, and then gradually moving around in a clockwise fashion, and I actually have a bit of a window trying to do certain things, so that's pretty cool. So we're destroying these arms, then we're going down here, because as it turns out there's a lot of bombs here that I can grab. Then we're going to destroy some of the smaller fire. This one, did I miss one still? Maybe I did. I think I missed one. Yeah, I think I missed one, because right now I can actually make very quick work of this by doing that. Or I should have thrown 2 bombs and I could have taken out the other arm as well. So now I have to improvise a little bit. And this is where the boss starts to become a little bit more annoying. Maybe not too much, but obviously this is marathon luck. And at some point those arms retreat, so that's kind of annoying. Okay, there we go. So there's one more arm left, and then I have to hit the middle, and time's gonna be as soon as I hit the middle. So yeah, I still have to hit this arm still. And it only appears after a certain amount of time, so that's especially cool. But yeah, if this goes well, you can make very quick work of it. You can do it in like a minute or so that's pretty cool. Actually, I think... Oh wait, it's not quite following the same pattern. Let's just wait then. This is literally the only thing I still have to hit besides the middle. Just gotta make sure not to die here. It's very easy, especially if you play this casually, it's easy enough to die here. Oh, and I said that, and then I jinxed it. I guess this is why I kept my estimates somewhat generous, so I could account for that. At least I've been able to get sub-30s pretty reliably for the longest time, so that's good, but can still be scary to do some stuff here. Let's see, I think I missed a couple. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I gotta make sure not to be too close to that. And I'm pretty sure I missed another one, but I'm not sure which one. Because I need to... Okay, there we go. Grab these and then get out of here. Okay, now it should be easy, because I can do this. Then wait for these, and then throw these, and then... Oh, I need one more. I was out of grenades. But... that is... time. Okay, that was more like it. Took a few retries, but, you know, that's marathon life for you. Oh yeah, there was a story in this game, by the way. There was literally no indication that there was going to be anything of that, but yeah, so supposedly there was this alien invasion and they kidnapped the queen of this planet and we had to save the queen, and now she's saved, so hooray. We did it. But yeah, if you check Wikipedia, you'll or Moby Games or whatever, you'll find info about the lore of this game, which is really deep. But yeah, you don't really see anything about it in the game. So yeah, and there we go, that's the end, and we get fireworks. Thanks for the GGs, everybody. Yeah, 26, I mean, it's still sub 30, so I'll take it. Like, my current PB is at 2250, which I got recently. I've been trying to work towards Deathless, which would be like a lower 22, perhaps, but maybe I'll do that in the future or something. It's always fun to have projects like that, I guess. But yeah, fun little game. It's been fun to pick this up all these years ago, and I do return to this every now and then, so it's one of those games, really. And yeah, if you like these overhead view kind of games and stuff with trampolines, you know, this is your game. So yeah. Yeah, I've got one more game for all of you coming up still, which is going to be something completely different, namely Tiny Toon Adventures 3 on the Genesis, and yes, it's a bootleg. So if you wonder what that looks like, you'll find out. So stay tuned, I'll be right back with some more.